Northern Iraq, wild and rugged, mysterious.
I'll make $20 tonight. I know I might die earning it, but what else can I do?
Rebellious.
This is not the destiny of the Kurds to be under oppression.
Traumatized by the past.
They took away my husband and 3 sons. I never saw them again.
I spent 7 days with the people of northern Iraq. My assignment, to examine the Kurds' relentless push for nationhood. And along the way, maybe uncover a little of Kurdistan, unreported until now.
We're going to begin our journey at the very eastern tip of Kurdistan, and we're going to cross hundreds of kilometers across this region to look at the Kurds' quest for independence and economic stability after 3 decades of brutal suppression.
Northern Iraq sits on the borders between Syria, Turkey and Iran. Smuggling and the black market are part of a fabric of life here, crucial to the economy. In towns like Peshmerga, people dabble in smuggling simply because, well, they have to earn a living somehow. I expected the frontier with Iran to be secure. I'm on the Iraqi side now, and ahead, the usual passport and visa formalities, customs posts. But then I discovered entering Iran without any paperwork at all couldn't be easier. You just skirt around the border fence. Hundreds do it every day. Some of them on 4 legs. Forget the passport. A good pair of boots and a packed lunch is all you need to walk into Iran. I decided to go for it myself and joined smuggler Hamed, who had a black market TV on his back.
Well, at this point, we're just walking now into the Islamic Republic. There are no border guards here, there's no barbed wire, there's absolutely nothing. This is a completely open border.
I left him walking in the direction of Tehran. Back on the Iraqi side of the frontier, thousands of litres of smuggled Iranian benzene. A sort of gasoline zaras. Idris has been working the black market for 7 years. His dad was a smuggler too. And what do you smuggle?
I smuggle tea, tobacco, kerosene.
Is it dangerous?
We come here because we have no other work. We have to feed our families. It's not dangerous. Only the alcohol smugglers run the risk of being shot.
The alcohol smugglers sounded like the elite, the black market's daring special forces. I wanted to meet them. It didn't take long to find one gang preparing for their nightly run to Iran. Alcohol is strictly forbidden in the Islamic Republic, but this booze and other contraband will soon be crossing the border. When it has a crackdown, Iran executes alcohol smugglers. And so I was surprised how open they were to be filmed. Although smuggler Masood asked for his face to be disguised.
It's risky, yes. The Iranians crack down from time to time and hang alcohol smugglers, so I'm afraid of crossing the border with whiskey. I've been doing it for 18 months, but there is no other work here, and I have to look after my family. I'll make $20 tonight. I know I might die earning it, but what else can I do?
Before we left the frontier, I met one local who was keen to give me the inside story on the border.
Everything comes and goes here. I mean everything. It's a scandal. Mostly it's alcohol and drugs, but weapons too, and gunmen trained in Iran. They pass through here to fight in Iraq. They're quite open and even ask us local people for directions. The American soldiers come for a look from time to time, but they don't stay long, and the smuggling goes on and on.
As I left Bashmak, I was wondering how the black market impacted on Kurdistan's fledgling economy. And for a region struggling for independence, surely it was going to have to secure its borders better than this. I headed 30 kilometers south to look at another pressing issue facing Kurdistan as it pushes for autonomy: terrorism. Four years ago, a then unknown Islamic group called Ansar al-Islam invaded the Kurdish border town of Bihara. Like the Taliban in Afghanistan, they imposed a ban on music, prevented females from being educated. Menfolk were ordered to grow beards. Those dark days will stay with this old man.
Our life was very bad because we were not free.
Give me some examples.
We couldn't be free to do as we wanted. And my son was punished for playing music. He was beaten by Ansar al-Islam members. He ended up in hospital.
Then, at the start of the war against Iraq, the Americans blitzed Ansar's headquarters with cruise missiles. It was assumed the leaders of Ansar had been killed under tons of flattened concrete. I discovered they weren't. But what really happened here? The clues I found on mountains near the town. The Islamist Ansar leadership certainly expected to die in the US bombing raid. They'd even dug their own graves, seen here for the first time. But their empty tombs supported the stories I'd heard that they actually survived the attack. To get more proof, I needed to meet a member of Ansar who'd survived. And to do that, I needed access to a prison in nearby Solomania, where I'd heard some members of Ansar were being held. I got permission to go in, and for the first time on television, an Ansar foot soldier, Abdul Rahman, told me some members of Ansar were killed, but the leadership survived.
We were tipped off about a possible American attack on our base at Bihara. We only had a few hours' notice, but we managed to get out in time. I don't know how we got the information, but we all escaped. The US missiles missed us completely.
Ansar is still active in Kurdistan, although it's now morphed into other Islamic movements. The last time they claimed responsibility for attacks was back in 2004, when they kidnapped and executed 11 Iraqi National Guardsmen. Unlike Iraq proper, Kurdistan is relatively free from attacks, and that may be due to the overhauling of its security forces. And those same troops will also bolster the region's push for independence. To find out more about that, I headed to a Peshmerga base near Solomania. The Kurdish Peshmerga have a long and proud tradition as freedom fighters against the armies of Saddam Hussein. But even they might admit they were something of a ragtag fighting force. Well, not anymore. At this parade ground, I could see the Peshmergas are being transformed into a regular, disciplined army. And with Kurdistan's independence push, elite armed units are being formed like the Cobras seen here for the first time. They're the pride of the new-look Kurdish fighting forces. Their motto, quick, silent, and deadly. I sensed squads like the Cobras are clearly an essential element to any dreams of independence for Kurdistan. The Kurds will always have a steady stream of motivated young men wanting to join them. But although there's no shortage of manpower, other resources for the army are limited. For example, new tanks are a long way off. But using Kurdish ingenuity, somehow they're keeping their old ones on the move. They captured these Russian tanks from Saddam's army.
The biggest problem the Kurds have is keeping these dinosaurs moving. To get spare parts, they have to go onto the black market and buy them from smugglers.
Ah yes, the old black market again. I was discovering the Kurdish economy thrives on it. Probably couldn't work without it. And more evidence of that. On the way south from Salamaniya, we passed kilometers of vehicles waiting for gasoline, a grim part of daily life here. The line just goes on and on and on. It's not a pleasant wait either. The fumes from impure fuel stick in your throat.
To stand any chance at all, you have to join lines like this first thing in the morning. You can, of course, buy gas on the black market, but it's 4 times the price.
Coming up, I stay in the east to meet a resistance movement who are ready to die for Kurdish independence. Kurdistan leader President Massoud Barzani talks about autonomy for his homeland and tells Al Jazeera he'd never surrender the disputed town of Kirkuk.
This is an Iraqi city which truly belongs to Kurdistan.